There is a subtle and almost invisible art in how humans connect with one another, an unspoken current that flows beneath every word spoken, every glance exchanged, and every action taken. Most people go through life completely unaware of this force, yet it is as real and as powerful as the laws that govern the universe, like gravity pulling objects toward each other without fail. This hidden skill shapes relationships, attraction, and influence in ways so profound that it can change the course of a person's life without them even realizing it. Niccolò Machiavelli, a man often remembered simply as a cold political strategist or manipulator, actually uncovered some of the most profound truths about human nature, power, and desire. His insights reach far beyond the battlefield of politics or the struggle for control over nations. They seep quietly into the everyday moments of our lives, especially in the delicate and mysterious dynamics between men and women. Women, in particular, have often been seen as puzzles, complex and difficult to understand, but what if the secret to truly connecting with them isn't about trying to solve a riddle, but about embodying certain timeless principles? Imagine if the way you think, the way you carry yourself, and the values you hold could create an almost magnetic energy, a force so strong and undeniable that it stirs a deep longing and fascination in others, especially women. This is not some shallow game of attraction, but a powerful, philosophical art of presence and influence that anyone can learn. When you understand this, you don't just capture attention, you awaken a force within others that pulls them toward you, sometimes even without their conscious awareness. What if I told you that buried deep within the pages of Machiavelli's timeless wisdom lie 5 powerful, unspoken rules far more profound than simple techniques to gain respect or momentary attention. These are not fleeting tricks designed to spark a passing interest or manipulate others on the surface. Instead, they are fundamental principles, ancient philosophical truths disguised as strategy, that tap into the very core of human nature. These rules don't just influence how people see you, they awaken a deep, almost primal desire within women, a yearning so intense it goes beyond mere attraction and borders on a magnetic craving for your attention, your presence, and even the essence of your being. What makes these truths so compelling is their delicate balance, a dance between showing strength and embracing vulnerability, between power and subtle surrender. This balance stirs emotions far richer and more authentic than surface-level charm or superficial allure. It reaches into the raw, hidden parts of the human psyche, creating connections that feel undeniable and unforgettable. To truly understand and embody these rules is to transform yourself, not just in how others perceive you, but in how you exist in the world. Your presence becomes more than just noticed, it becomes deeply felt, resonating on levels most people never experience. This is the silent, extraordinary power that Machiavelli's insights quietly reveal, a power rooted not in domination, but in the timeless truth of genuine human connection. To truly grasp the nature of influence, one must first understand a fundamental truth: power is never loud or desperate. It does not scream for attention nor plead for recognition like those who lack it. True power is subtle, quiet, and patient, like a still river that hides its strength beneath the surface until the moment it moves with unstoppable force. Machiavelli reveals that being desired is closely tied to the art of mystery, of becoming unpredictable, elusive, and refusing to be fully understood or controlled. The first hidden rule he offers is simple yet profound: become the mystery that defies explanation. When your thoughts, emotions, and intentions remain veiled rather than fully exposed, you transform yourself into a puzzle, one that invites others, especially women, to explore and discover. This isn't about playing games or being dishonest, it's about embracing an enigmatic presence that captivates without giving itself away too easily. Women, like all people, are instinctively drawn to the unknown because it holds the promise of discovery, excitement, and depth, offering a glimpse into something far greater than what is visible on the surface. To live this rule is to embody a living mystery, a force that constantly invites curiosity, fascination, and desire, all while protecting the precious core of your true self. It is in this balance, between revealing just enough and holding back, that irresistible power lies. Yet mystery, on its own, is incomplete. an empty shell if not grounded in something solid. It becomes nothing more than a performance if it lacks conviction. Machiavelli's second rule, subtle yet powerful, suggests that a man's true worth is not measured by what he claims, but by the calm, unwavering certainty with which he carries himself. This is not arrogance. It is not about loud declarations or seeking approval. It is the quiet strength that radiates from a man who knows who he is, who has taken the time to explore his inner world and built his life upon a foundation of self-awareness, clarity, and personal discipline. This kind of confidence doesn't fluctuate with moods or crumble under pressure. It remains steady like a mountain, unmoved by the storms around it. It is the difference between a man who simply reacts to life and one who moves through it with thoughtful purpose and quiet intention. Such a man doesn't need to chase validation because his actions, his energy, and his silence speak louder than any words could. When a man walks into a room with this kind of inner alignment, others feel it. Women, in particular, sense this unshakable presence. It's something ancient, something instinctual. It awakens a respect that goes far beyond physical attraction, rooting itself in a deeper emotional and psychological admiration. It's not just about being noticed, it's about being felt, remembered, and trusted at a level most never reach. This is the kind of man who leaves an imprint not just on someone's heart, but on their sense of what is possible in a human being. But power, when left ungoverned, unrefined, and undirected, transforms into something dangerous, chaos masquerading as confidence. This is where Machiavelli's third hidden rule quietly reveals itself: master your emotions without becoming their servant. It's easy to confuse raw emotional expression with authenticity, but Machiavelli knew that unfiltered vulnerability, when poorly timed or recklessly displayed, can be a weapon turned inward. To be human is to feel rage, longing, fear, desire, but to lead, to influence, to attract with true power, one must become the guardian of those emotions, not their prisoner. Emotional mastery is not about coldness or detachment. It is a deeply philosophical strength, rooted in the ability to feel fully while choosing deliberately how to respond. It is knowing that emotion can be a compass, but never the driver. Women, especially those who sense the subtle language of emotional energy, are not pulled in by men who unravel at every wave of feeling. They are drawn to those who carry passion with restraint, like fire hidden beneath still water. These are the men who can sit calmly in their chaos, who can burn with intensity and still remain composed. That kind of restraint is magnetic. It suggests wisdom, depth, and power all at once. It creates a quiet tension, a paradox between strength and sensitivity, power and softness. And in that paradox lies the kind of allure that lingers, that earns not just attention, but respect and devotion. Very few can live in that space, feeling without being overwhelmed, expressing without collapsing, and that rare ability becomes a beacon to those seeking something real. Now, reflect on this. The true art of influence doesn't lie in relentless giving, but in the controlled illusion of generosity. Machiavelli, with his piercing understanding of human behavior, warned that real power does not come from constant offering, but from calculated restraint. His fourth hidden rule pierces through the sentimentality of surface-level kindness: give sparingly, and only with purpose. Not out of desperation. Not to be liked, but as a conscious act that reflects abundance, not lack. This might sound cold to the untrained ear, but it holds a profound philosophical truth, one rooted in the nature of value itself. When you give too freely, your time, your energy, your attention, you unintentionally teach others to expect you, to take you for granted, to see your presence as something common. But when you give with intention, with precision, your generosity becomes sacred. It stops being noise and becomes signal. Women, who are attuned to emotional nuance, can feel this difference immediately. They do not long for what is always available. They desire what is rare, deliberate, and meaningful. Just as we treasure what is scarce in nature, precious stones, quiet moments, deep connections, measured acts of attention become treasures others feel compelled to earn. This is not about playing games. It's about embodying self-respect so fully that your giving becomes an honor, not a habit. In this principle lies an ancient form of power, one that flows not from the abundance of what you give, but from the quiet control over when and why you give it. It is a lesson in patience, in dignity, and in the restraint that forges true worth. Machiavelli's insight here is less about manipulation and more about mirroring the laws of life itself. The most valuable things are never free, they are chosen, earned, and rarely repeated. And now, we arrive at perhaps the most profound and misunderstood of Machiavelli's hidden rules, the one that quietly separates the truly powerful from those still chasing shadows. It is this: detach from the outcome, even as you engage with unwavering presence. This isn't about apathy or emotional coldness. It's a higher form of wisdom, a deep echo of Stoic philosophy, an invitation to invest fully in your actions, in your growth, in your essence, while releasing the need to control how others respond. Machiavelli understood, as all great thinkers do, that true influence isn't rooted in what you gain from others, but in how complete you are without their approval. When a man no longer needs to be validated, when he stops measuring his worth by whether his attention is returned or his efforts rewarded, he enters a state of quiet, radiant freedom. That kind of self-possession cannot be faked. It's not a mask or a tactic, it's a spiritual posture, a way of being. And paradoxically, it's in this very detachment that your presence becomes most magnetic. Why? Because it radiates something rare in the modern world: sovereignty, emotional independence, a peace that isn't dependent on being chosen. Women sense this intuitively. It's felt in the way you speak, the way you move, the way you look at the world. You are no longer offering yourself with the hidden hope of being accepted. You're simply being. And that authenticity, that calm wholeness, creates an irresistible pull. It is the highest form of power because it demands nothing and yet commands everything. You become the storm that doesn't chase, it simply arrives, and everything changes. This is what Machiavelli hinted at beneath his political lessons, that real mastery begins when the game no longer defines you, because you've already won where it matters most, within. These 5 principles aren't just strategies, they form a philosophical architecture of attraction, an internal blueprint shaped by ancient wisdom yet uncannily attuned to the emotional and relational chaos of the modern world. They reveal that the power to captivate isn't about forcing desire, nor about playing games with emotions, but about cultivating a way of being so rooted in authenticity, depth, and self-mastery that others are drawn to you like gravity. Influence, in its highest form, is not the ability to manipulate someone's choices, it is the ability to awaken something dormant within them by standing fully in your truth. When you become a man who holds mystery without confusion, who leads with clarity but doesn't seek control, who feels deeply yet never collapses into his emotions, who gives with meaning and never from emptiness, who engages wholeheartedly without tying his soul to the outcome, you don't chase attraction. You become the source of it. This is the paradox Machiavelli's deeper philosophy offers, that the most irresistible man is not the one who seeks to be desired, but the one who is so complete within himself that desire finds him without effort. You embody presence without needing permission. That is not just charisma. It is power. And it's the kind that doesn't fade when the game ends. It's the kind that stays long after you've walked away. Machiavelli's deeper message is not about chasing desire, but about becoming the kind of man in whom desire naturally awakens, without effort, without performance. His insights push us to stop seeking approval and start cultivating the kind of presence that stirs longing in others simply by existing in truth. These rules remain hidden not because they are secret, but because few are willing to endure the inner work they demand. They require discipline, the ability to restrain your impulses. They require self-examination, the courage to confront your own emotional patterns. And they require a radical commitment to becoming something far beyond what the world expects from men. But for those who dare to walk that path, the reward is something extraordinary. You stop being a participant in the game of attraction and become the axis around which it spins. You unlock a kind of power that is not loud, not showy, but undeniable, a gravity that pulls others in, not through effort, but through essence. And yes, women feel it. They are drawn not just to your actions, but to what those actions say about who you are, a man who is not moved by the tides of validation, who does not perform, who does not beg, but who becomes the one they cannot ignore. A force of nature in human form. A mystery wrapped in stillness. A philosopher of desire who understands that power isn't taken, it is embodied. And once it is, the world, and all those within it, begin to move in response to you. So as you move forward, carry this with you, the power to attract, to influence, to awaken desire. It isn't rooted in tricks or deception. It's not about bending others to your will or manipulating emotions like a puppeteer. Real power, the kind Machiavelli quietly revealed between the lines, is the art of becoming whole within yourself. It's about becoming a man so internally aligned, so deeply rooted in his own truth, that your very presence alters the emotional gravity of a room. You stop chasing connection and begin to radiate it. Your quiet strength, your unshakable sense of self, your capacity to hold both intensity and restraint, these things speak louder than any performance ever could. That is what draws others to you, not out of confusion or need, but out of awe. This is the essence of what Machiavelli truly offered, not just a guide for rulers and politicians, but a mirror for the soul of any man willing to master the hidden laws of human nature. He wasn't simply teaching how to gain power, he was teaching how to be power. And when you understand that, when you live it, you no longer have to convince anyone of your worth. They feel it. They sense it. They remember it. That is the highest form of influence, one that isn't demanded, but earned by being. And that is the legacy you carry, not of a cold manipulator, but of a philosopher of presence, connection, and timeless strength.